On this episode of Purposely Curious, I decide to get serious again about podcasting and ask Leone to join me again. It's rough at the start of the episode as we get back in the groove of things, but we are looking forward to discussing even more intriguing topics in the semi-monthly podcast, not bi-monthly as we say in the episode. So let's get nice and cozy as this episode starts now. Hello, Leone.
Greetings, Mary. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. It's so nice to finally hear your voice again.
I know. We are back, guys. We are back.
So for people that don't know, Mary moved to the outskirts of Zeta Reticuli. So it takes at the speed of light, it takes the sound of my voice about 2.5 years to travel in one direction. And then once she gets it, she records a response and sends it back to me. So that's why there's a little break here in this Purposely Curious podcast.
Yeah. So this episode, it took us a long time to record, obviously.
Yeah. I feel like I have more gray hairs and I'm much older. You're probably retired from work now.
Yeah.
Enjoying the senior life in Florida, right?
Oh, God, not Florida. I'm sorry.
I don't think anybody here likes Florida.
I would actually, if I were to retire, I think I can see myself in Montana or...
Montana's nice.
Yeah, but not in the cities, kind of like outskirts.
Even if you're in the cities, you're in the outskirts.
Yeah, I loved it.
Let's be real.
Loved it.
I'd go there. I don't know if I could survive the -80 winters, but...
Yeah, does it get that cold? Well, I went in November and it was pretty cold. But I'm assuming it gets colder then in December, January probably.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. I imagine there's snow until like March or April at least.
Yeah. Oh my God. It was so beautiful. So yeah, but definitely not Florida. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But how have you been?
I've been okay. I've been doing okay, just hanging in there, trying to make things happen in life, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But just doing okay. Can't complain.
Yeah. Your voice sounds a little hoarser.
Yeah, I lost my voice back in December.
Mm-hmm.
Like, seriously, between then and now, because I have these strong allergies to, like, I guess pollen or grass or whatever, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I live near a large, massive field of grass that's like thousands of acres, you know, hundreds of acres at least. Maybe thousands, I don't know. So it's like all these allergies have been blowing in, and I lost my voice really bad the last few months. So like, it's been a struggle. Like if I'm not using my voice constantly, like I really lose it and it's hard, you know, to speak.
Oh.
So everywhere I go, people are like, "Are you sick?" And I'm like, "No, I just, you know,
yeah.
This is the way I sound now until this weather stops raining and it dries up all this pollen and shit that's spreading, you know?"
Yeah. As we've had, also for the listeners, I know we've taken some time off, you know, but I just thought we would do like a kind of catch up episode to get us back in the groove of recording, right, Leone?
Yeah.
So we're not covering anything in particular, just gonna catch up this episode, just again to get the ball rolling.
Nice.
And but to what Leone is saying is we've had a drought here in California, especially in the LA area. So up north, California is a huge state. So the northern part of California tends to get more rain than we do, even in the drought, even though the whole state was kind of in the drought. So it was pretty bad here. But this last year has been record-breaking winter storm after winter storm after winter storm after winter storm. I mean, I've loved it, you know, and driving now, the mountains are green. Sometimes I feel like I'm in Scotland in certain areas, right?
Yeah,
it's
right.
so beautiful. But it sucks for allergy sufferers because, you know, people didn't even realize there was like certain flowers in their backyards that are just growing now everywhere.
Right.
But yeah, I hadn't thought about that, you know.
Yeah, I don't remember growing marijuana, and now it's like everywhere in my backyard. People look at me and I'm like, "Wasn't me, man, shit." sure my stupid ass friends dropped the seat or something, you know?
Mm-hmm. Just landed on your line there.
I
Yeah.
don't even smoke.
So,
I'm boring. I don't even smoke. I don't even. It's a silly joke for me to tell because people that know me would be like, yeah,
mm-hmm.
right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's crazy, like you said, I'm sure hopefully in the summer as the weather gets drier and there's less wind and less pollen in the air, maybe your voice won't, it'll be better.
Yeah, it's got to come back because
Yeah.
this whole puberty thing sucks.
Especially when people think you're actually like sick and asking you.
Oh yeah, it is weird.
Yeah, my mom is like that actually. Like I'll sneeze. I sneeze every day, guys. Like I sneeze every day. Like I'm not joking, but she's always like, "Are you sick? Are you sick? Is that why you're sneezing?" I'm like, "No. I thought we've been through this like my whole life."
Yeah, it's funny. I'm the same way. Like anybody, like my sister, my mom. I'm like, are you sick? Because I'm man. When I used to work in radio,
Mhm.
all these fucking young kids would come in sick with the
Mm.
flu. And
Yeah.
they'd be like, I get allergies. And I'm like, no, go home. I'm like, look, we'll pay you. Go home.
Mhm.
Because then we all get it, and then we're all losing time. So I don't miss that stupidity. I'm like, guys, be better. And if
Mhm.
there's one thing this pandemic taught you is please be better.
Yeah. Be better.
Yeah.
So, what else do you have to tell us?
I shed some tears last night.
Really? Why is that?
Ted Lasso came to an end.
Shh. Oh my god, I haven't watched it, Leone.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
Some fan you are.
Oh my god. Shut the fuck up, really? Oh, fuck, man.
This is how much stuff is going on in my life. Nothing. So what happens? I get the notification on my phone, new episode, because they release
And you
them,
get it.
hours before midnight.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'll watch it at 7 p.m. or 6 p.m. or whatever.
Yeah. Damn it. Well, I guess I have to catch up. I have not watched the last 3 episodes.
Oh,
So I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm watching too many shows.
yes.
And so I'm at that stage where I'm forgetting certain shows. And then I'm all up in that Vanderpump. I love Vanderpump.
Oh God.
So that's taking up a lot of my time.
Did you go say hi at the drive-thru the other day at Cane's?
uh, no, I didn't, but I saw that she was there.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. I'm like,
Yeah,
it's kind of close to where Mary patrols and does her thing. So I'm sure Mary heard about it.
I did online.
Of course.
Yeah. Oh my God. But yeah, so I now have to watch Ted Lasso. But yeah, thanks for ruining it for me. But
Ruining it. I didn't even tell you what it was about.
no, don't tell me more. And don't tell me more. But like it's over?
Oh, you didn't know?
No.
Yeah, it's 3 seasons and done.
Oh, really?
Oh, I thought you knew that.
I did not.
Yeah, unfortunately that's what they agreed upon, and I don't understand why because the show is so hot. And by hot, I mean like so many people are watching it.
Mhm.
There's a story that came out the other day that said just the last episode, not the finale, but the last episode,
Mhm.
785 million hours around the world people watched.
Oh, wow.
So I mean, come on, it's like yeah, this hot show, and you couldn't go on for season 4, if maybe 5.
Mhm.
Kind of weird end at 3.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know
I think he could, because, for those of you that don't watch the show, it's not just about soccer or football. It's about the players and it's about the coaches and it's about the owner and her friends and some of the players' families or loved ones. Or so there's a lot of story that goes around
that. Mhm.
that really it's more than just about the sport. It's a good comedy, but there's good rom-com elements to it that are very well
Mhm.
done,
Mhm.
and there's just good humor, good British humor to that,
Yeah.
that that we lack here in American humor. Like, but it's a good story. Like when you after you watch it, you feel good because it's a good heartfelt perseverance story. It's like how does this person get out of this mess, or how do they you know survive
Mhm.
relationships, breakups, or whatever. So
Mhm.
and it's a good, like, it just reminds you about life. It reminds you about me, or you, should I say, and how we deal with things. And you know and that's why when it's over, it's like you either feel something sad for someone on the show, or you feel something happy, or you feel good. You feel motivated, like like motivational.
Mhm.
Like you learned a lesson. So if you're not watching, it's one of those shows you should be watching. And now that it's over, you can start from the beginning and binge watch all 3 seasons. And they go by quick, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, now I have to finish it then.
Yeah,
I cannot believe it.
that's so funny.
But yeah. So, I wanted to tell you as well that I opened an Etsy shop.
Do tell, do tell.
So, basically, I think you guys who have been following us have kind of heard that I've been learning for years to like do crafts and stuff like that. So I've been thinking forever that I wanted to do an Etsy shop just to start and kind of get, I guess, my feet wet and see what happens, kind of. But I only talked about it and never did it. So I just one day decided I wanted to open the Etsy shop. And if I don't do it in the moment, I'm not going to do it. So I started and I literally wasn't even planning on doing it that Saturday. And I just started filling out all the information. And then they were like, you need a product. And I was like, shit, I don't have one yet. Like, I didn't realize I needed a product. So I had just made this In Dolly We Trust mug that, I had the sizing all weird. Like, it wasn't like the greatest, but I already knew if I put my phone down, because I was doing it on my cell phone in the living room, if I put my phone down and even decided to, take good pictures, quality, whatever, I was not going to sign up. So I quickly found a spot, put like a cardboard white poster board that I had with lighting. That wasn't great. My apartment's kind of dark at certain times of the day. Like the living room has the least amount of light, I guess, that goes in.
Right.
So it wasn't very bright. The point is, I put it up and I opened it. And then I couldn't believe I did it. I was like, well, it's not a mug I wanted to sell. I was like, just, it was for me, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So I put it up and then, once it was up, I looked at the pictures. I was like, wow, the font is not, it's too big, but I was like, well, I already have it up, right? So I remade one and kind of resized it. And now it's like smaller, more like better. And I took the pictures again and put it on. The point is that I'm really glad I did that, even though I was not happy with what I put. I just needed something.
Right.
But I already have sent one out, which again, it's, I know there's people out there who are selling so much stuff, but I learned so much just from selling that one mug. The shipping aspect of it.
Oh yeah.
I'm still learning how that works. I printed the label. The point is, it was like a gift to me to sell one because I was like really happy and learning, how to like. It's crazy. I don't know how people do it. I just did, like I said, I just did one, but I think once you get the hang of it and you get more, I guess you get into the flow of things. But it was like a horrible ordeal for me for like two
Yeah.
days.
It's
But
a
I was
lot to think
happy.
about. It's a lot to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're like, okay, great, I got the product, looks beautiful. Oh, I gotta package this in the
Mm-hmm.
lightest amount of material that's gonna still prevent it from breaking.
Yeah, because it's a coffee mug, right?
Right.
Like I love coffee mugs, and so I I think it weighed, by the time I sent it, I had to pay more shipping because I think I overpacked it because I was so scared. Like that was like my biggest thing is like, like I don't know much about packing. I watched YouTube videos,
Right.
TikToks, you name it, like some videos that were kind of like to the point, concise, so I can just learn. And I had already bought stuff, so I was able to get it out. But yeah, I learned so much, so I'm very grateful for that purchase. But yeah, I've put two more mugs up there. And then what I like about me putting this up was that the reason we're on here is because it's kind of made me like feel alive again. Not that I wasn't feeling alive. I was telling Leone, I was feeling really unmotivated. Like doing a podcast, guys, takes a lot of time and effort. And
Yes.
for a time, we did sometimes even two a week, right, Leone?
Yeah.
Like it was basically the pandemic and I had nothing else to do, right? And I had all the time in the world to research, and, Leone would sit with me and we would record. And then it was just like I felt like as life opened and stuff happened, like I just didn't have the time and the motivation to do as many as we were doing. So we went to weekly, then we went to like every other week, then it was like every other month, and we were still consistently putting them out. But these last few months, and it wasn't just about the podcast. There's a lot of aspects. I had started a new job, like life, a lot of stuff is happening, so this whole me finally feeling like I need to do something, and then getting the Etsy shop, and then me working on that plus working. And then I just felt really motivated. And so I told Leonie, let's get back to it. So we were thinking of maybe doing two a month so that doesn't seem like a drag to do everything that comes. The easiest part is recording.
Right.
Yeah. So, this is why we're kind of doing, my idea was to do like a filler type of episode where we just catch up so that we can at least get to comfortable at recording, ourselves again. And it'll
Yeah.
be like pretty easy going. And then on the next one, I already have some ideas of what we're going to talk about, which I
Great.
know Leone always agrees on everything. I don't think you've ever said no, have you?
No, because that what you bring to the table are some very fascinating topics. Even if you want to talk about Wonder Pump Girl selling what was it? Kane's chicken
Did you say
fingers.
Wonder Pump?
Yeah,
Vanderpump.
Vanderpump. Sorry,
Yeah. No, but let's go with it.
but yeah, my joke is like, yeah, even if you want to talk about Vanderpump Girl selling Kane's chicken fingers or whatever, like I'm cool with that
Yeah.
because there's a story there, and the thing is like, no, I'm of course I'm joking about that, but Mary brings some very fascinating topics to the table, and that's why I'm like, hey, sign me up. It's like
Hmm.
let's talk, like educate me, like let's talk about this,
Yeah.
and I always enjoy our
So,
conversations.
yeah. So the last episode we did was about Alice in Wonderland's author and his kind of shady, you know,
Dark.
dark history, and how there are, that obviously everything was archived with writings and letters, and, obviously they spoke differently. And Leone kept saying times were different, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of interesting, and how scholars are still arguing and debating about that. But yeah, I have some true crime stuff I want to bring up, and yeah, we're just gonna go with it.
Nice.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
same. How about you? Anything exciting as far as like your end of the podcasting world?
Not really. We're slowing things up a lot because it's just been so busy for us, and it really does take a mental toll on everything.
Mm-hmm.
And like people don't realize that. They're like, oh, but you're having fun. I'm like, no, it's not. That's not the point. It's just there's so much going on and so many expectations, and things work out slower, or things need to be faster. It's just like so much. It's a full time job. And that's why I'm like, we decided to take things slower, and that's been cool. And we're just enjoying the podcast more now. We're doing less of it. Like we're still trying to put out one episode a week. That's about it. But there's a lot going on in the world too, and especially with the writers' strike.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of productions are now starting to feel it. I'm glad that Ted Lasso ended in time because anything that was not written and submitted and done before the strike, can't be made. So there's a lot of shows that are like ending half a season, or mid-season, or are they gonna have to, like, for example, Stranger Things? We have to wait an extra year now to get the final seasons.
Hmm.
And I think Yellow Jackets also stopped production. I think so. It's crazy that this is gonna postpone like your favorite shows for another year or two.
Depending on the show, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a little bummer, but at the same time, uh, like you mentioned, I think that there's just too much out there to watch.
Oh my God, yes. Like, I literally, it wasn't even intentional. You guys know I love Ted Lasso, but you come home from work, right? You make dinner, then you're like, what show's on? And then it's like, I would forget.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just hard. I feel like I should be writing my shows down so I can make sure I don't start a new one
Yeah.
before finishing the other one. Oh, I'm so bummed. I obviously didn't know it, but anyways, how long do you think the writer strike is going to last? I mean,
This is going to be longer than the last one. So I think I wouldn't be surprised if it goes months till like the end of the year,
damn.
at least. Because what they're asking for is nothing crazy. Like when you hear how their pay works out, it's kind of sad, you know?
Yeah.
Like how they get used. And these are like names. These are people that write your favorite shows on Hulu and Netflix and Amazon and Apple. And it's not that those companies are screwing them specifically. It's more just because the system, the studios, of how they work. They're like, we're going to pay you for this, but you're going to do a bunch of rewrites for us and for free. Oh, you don't want to do it? Cool. Find somebody else. Because who doesn't want to write for a hot show like Ted Lasso?
Mm-hmm.
They'll find somebody. So it's a sad thing that they have to negotiate through all the streaming services, and then now they have to watch their backs because AI, ChatGPT, and all that
Oh
stuff.
shit. Yeah.
That services, those can easily write stuff. And people say, oh no, they can't. It's like, yeah, but even if they gave you a rough idea, you can like edit, you can fix it.
Yeah.
So it's like that stuff's a scary future. That's going to affect all of us in every way. But in terms of entertaining, yeah, it's going to be a sad time. So I hope if you guys watch stuff on Netflix, I hope you like Spanish and Korean content because that's all you're going to get on Netflix.
Mm.
Pretty much.
Turkish.
Yeah.
Turkish shows.
You're going to get Squid Games season 2 and 3 and 4 probably, but yeah, it just sucks that I'm gonna have to wait in some of my favorite shows for an extra year or two. I mean, which is cool because at the same time I get to write myself and stop watching stuff for a while, or at least catch up and watch other stuff.
Yeah. I had seen, I can't remember what article I had read, but they were kind of breaking down, like, I don't know if it was Jimmy Kimmel's show, where like the writers, like one of the writers would make like 60K a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember reading that just because I think they were trying to break down why they were going on strike.
Yeah, that's nothing.
No, it's not. And then I don't remember. He was a CEO of one of the studios who was doing like commencement speech in one of the graduations. He was heckled by the students, right? Like, pay your writers.
Yep.
I saw that online and I was like, yeah,
that was the Warner Brothers CEO.
Wow. Yeah, which is Ted Lasso's umbrella there.
Yeah, it's weird because it's it's technically an Apple show, but I think they film on the Warner Brothers like lots, right, or studios, right?
Yeah, they like own the rights or something.
Because I think that's well, now it's come to an end anyways. That show's over, but yeah, it's a mess, especially when a studio like Warner Brothers, which is now Discovery Plus, and they own HBO and they own DC, and so they own a lot of properties, and they're making a lot of money, and yet they're still losing money because they can't figure out what they're doing. That's why they canceled the Batgirl movie, and they canceled like a bunch of the DC Universe movies except for the Flash.
Oh, which is the one they should have canceled. That guy's a fucking mess.
Yeah, so that's the weird thing. That dude's a mess. He finally got caught, or he's seeking help or something, right? But he's still a mess. Like what he did was wrong, so they're doubling down because they're releasing the movie. Everybody that's seen the movie says it's really good. But I'm not a fan of those characters.
Yeah.
And especially
I
him, especially this
yeah.
this idiot.
I
But
won't watch it, but I understand maybe why they're keeping it because there's so many cameos of him in so many other franchises. Like, you know what I mean? Like Wonder Woman, Superman, they all have movies that they all kind of intertwine. And I think that's the reason why they keep pushing it. And of course, obviously, it cost them a lot of money, but so did the other movies that they're scrapping. You know what I mean? But I do
yeah,
think it's because there's the whole, they're all interconnected. They're trying to make, or we're trying to make an Avengers type Marvel universe in a way
yeah,
by connecting movies. But yeah, this guy's a fucking mess. And it wasn't just one crime, guys, multiple crimes he
yeah,
got arrested for. But then it's like, oh, I'm going to rehab to fix myself. It's like, okay, no, he should not
yeah.
be working. Other people would have been canceled on the first offense.
Of course.
Yeah, nah, I'm not watching.
And I don't know if you heard, but they actually canceled all the movies. So there's no more Wonder Woman coming out. There's no more Batman. There's no more. So they basically stopped. There's no more Aquaman. They stopped all of them, and they're resetting. So they're gonna cast new characters. They're gonna tell new stories going forward. So I think the Flash movie is the last of it.
Hmm.
So we're not gonna see what's her name, Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. We're not gonna see Henry Cavill as Superman. Because the first movie coming out, I think, is Superman, I believe. But it's going to be a whole new beginning. So, because they, like you said, tried to make an Avengers out of this and they failed.
Yeah.
So they're,
And it comes down to management and their
of
end, it
course,
seems. They're not letting the directors kind of do their thing or
right.
whatever vision they have. So they end up with terrible movies.
Yeah,
Not all of them have been terrible because I've watched quite a few of them, but the follow-up movies are
they're
terrible. Like
terrible.
they can't just keep you. Like if you like the first Wonder Woman was so good.
Yes.
There was so much potential, and I was bored out of my mind with the second one. Like I was like, this
Yeah,
is
it was bad.
terrible. The first one, I walked out of the theater like, wow, this is great. It was wonderful. But yeah, it's like I don't know what they're doing in management over there at corporate. They're just
Yes.
fucking it up.
So what they did is they did a smart thing. They hired James Gunn, who made the three Guardian of the Galaxies movies. So Guardian of the Galaxy just came out, the last one, part three.
Hmm.
So they hired him. So he's no longer with Marvel. Now he's with DC, and they made him president or co-president, whatever, of DC. Because at least that's a guy who understands the comic characters.
Hmm.
So they put him in charge, and apparently he's a huge Superman, Batman fan. So he's the guy who's going to write the new ones and direct them. So smart move, But it's gonna take a year or two or a hot minute. But hopefully they're better movies when they come out.
I hope so. Like I like the Joker movie a lot.
Mhm.
But what I'm hearing on the second one, the sequel, like a musical style, I'm like, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I'm
Yeah,
gonna watch it, but I'm I hope I like it.
Right.
But already I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I love how dark and dramatic it was. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? And now it's
Yeah.
like, it's going to be a musical. Like, that's what, I don't know. To me, I
Yeah.
don't know what they're doing. Did you see, though, that they're doing the Penguin on HBO?
Oh, a TV series
The,
or something?
yeah. So the trailer, which was like the teaser of the show,
Yeah.
it looked so good and dark, and I love it. And I'm really excited because I will watch that.
Yeah, it's the way it's got to be. It's got to be
Um,
dark and mysterious and a good crime
yeah.
drama, something,
And I think that's why I'm like kind of annoyed. Like DC had, like I said, they have such potential, but it's like the sequels or follow up projects are just terrible.
Yeah.
Like they either switch, you know, directors' visions, or the the corporate people are like, no, we want to change this.
Of
Like
course.
almost like take the power
Of
away, and then the
course. Of
movie ends
course.
up being terrible. So,
It's like Wonder Woman 84, the second one.
oh, it's terrible.
They had Pedro Pascal in it. How do you screw that up?
Mm-hmm.
The dude is the hottest male star right now.
He's Zade.
Like, if you don't, I mean, if you have not watched what is it called? The Last of Us, right?
Yeah, I loved it.
So good. And
Mm-hmm.
that's as close as I'm going to get married to watch a horror show.
Yeah. It's funny too because I thought of you. I really liked it. I
I mean, I'm
think
not that sexy. Come on.
I cried in 3 or 4 of those episodes. I was like, wow.
Yeah, that's how powerful it was. It was moving.
Mm-hmm.
It's and it's weird because I don't play video games. My like
Neither do I. Yeah.
so I'm not familiar with that video game in particular, especially, but it's
Mm-hmm.
based on it very like truthfully up until a certain point. But a lot what you see on the show happens in the game apparently, like all these clues and puzzles and where they go and giraffes and random things.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, but
Mm-hmm.
I would have never watched it. Like I started watching it until episode 4 came out because I was like, I can't watch. And I was like, all right, I want to give it a chance. And I was hooked because I was like, this is really good.
Mm-hmm.
And another show that's going to get postponed is that one because again, the writer's strike.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. How I don't know. So it would be interesting to see what happens with all these stories and how long we have to wait. Because even like the Game of Thrones, House of Dragons, that's like a long wait. So
Right.
I'm curious now if that's going to be affected.
Oh, for sure.
So it'll be like a 2 year wait. It's going to be 3 year wait now, or what? Like,
Probably, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because I
Well,
think The Last of Us, I think they already said the date and it was going to be 2025 or 2026.
mm,
Like, not even next year. It's like 2 years or 3 years from then. I'm like, oh, that sucks.
yeah.
Like, that girl's going to be a woman. The young British actress, she's going to be a woman by the time, because she's what, like 14 in the series or whatever?
Yeah.
Or 16 in real life or whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's so, I don't know. It's weird times if you're consuming entertainment in the form of television or movies or streaming or whatever, because this keeps going on, which I think it will, and it's fine because I respect that these writers should be given a decent salary, a decent wage,
Mm-hmm.
benefits or whatever. Then
Yeah.
it just sucks that it's a game of chicken. It's going to be like, okay, we'll just hold off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then in the meantime, we're going to get a lot more Vanderpump Rules because those shows are allowed to go on, and those shows are going to do very, very well because they don't require
There's nothing
writers.
else.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing else. Yeah. Well, what I like is that there's so many TV shows out there that I haven't seen. So I think the only reality TV shows I watch is Vanderpump, Millionaire Dollar Listing. What is it called? Millionaire Home Listing LA. I have the
Okay.
name totally wrong. I'll watch the Kardashians here and there, and Selling Sunset, which ugh, they're terrible. Another one. I'm losing interest in those, but I definitely love Vanderpump and $1 Million Listing LA. There we go. So I watched The Americans on Hulu. Have you watched that?
No, is it any good?
I loved it. So it's about Soviet spies in the 80s and 70s and, the Cold War. And there
Right.
was actually Soviet spies who were trained to be Americans. And so it's based off a book, loosely based off a book of former Soviet spies. And so it was very, very, very good. And there was 5 seasons. It was on FX. So if you guys run out of shows, go watch it if you're into that type of stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why I've been postponing that one because I know the girl, the main actress who's in it. Oh God, what's her name? Oh, I forgot her name. But anyways, I like her, so I always think about that show. I'm like, I should watch the show, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but also on Apple Plus is Slow Horses. Did you ever start watching that show, Slow Horses, with Gary
No.
Oldman?
No.
Good.
I did just finish Blackbird.
Oh, Blackbird. That's the next one I want to tell you about. What did you think
Oh
of
my
Blackbird?
god. I binged it in 2 days.
How good was that? I mean, how crazy
I
is it?
was
It's it that it was a real story.
It's a real story, and apparently the actor, the person who was it Larry Hall,
Yeah.
um, actually talked like that, like the actor. He
Yep.
won a Golden Globe, I think, for his portrayal as a
Yeah.
supporting actor. But well, I binged it. It's only 8 episodes, so it's very good to watch. But he basically got away with murder. He is in jail, but you guys have to see it. I started Googling stuff about it, and sure enough, there's theories about he would play dumb, kind of. No one
Right.
knows if he was just slow or if he really just played dumb,
Right.
but definitely he got away with a lot of murder. So when you Google him, you will see in some articles suspected serial killer. So, but you guys would have to watch it, or we can do an episode.
Yeah. It's a great show to discuss because of how crazy the idea sounds, but it really did happen.
Hmm.
Pretty close to how the show was portrayed, portraying the real characters. Um, but then, I mean, I'm not gonna talk about the ending, but when you get to the ending, you're like, oh my god. When you find out like the truth of the possibilities, you're just like,
Hmm.
whoa. Like this guy was,
Yeah,
you know,
I'm convinced he did it.
of course.
I'm convinced. Yeah, so he's a serial killer, but again, if you guys look him up, it'll say suspected because of legalities and like
Right.
stupid little things that just they fucking couldn't get him. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good one. Well, Leonie, I appreciate you taking the time to sit with me again to get us nice and warm and ready for more episodes because we're going to do realistically 2 a month. So
Yeah.
that way, like we talked about earlier, Leone was talking about his podcast, and these things do take time. The preparation, we kind of talk about it beforehand, and then all the stuff that, we're not Joe Rogan. We don't have that budget, right?
Not yet.
So
No,
we're not hiring
we're not hiring.
people people to do our artwork or to edit or to do the research. So a lot of things all that takes time. And if you have life, it just it can drive you crazy to try to fix or find time, I guess, to do it all.
Yeah.
So I think realistically it'd be better for them to keep us motivated is to do it at least bi-weekly. Am I saying that right? Bi-weekly?
Bi-monthly.
Bi-monthly, yeah.
I always get
Something.
those wrong. Bi-weekly, 2 a week, Mary. That's crazy.
Hey, we did it once.
Oh
We
God, I
did
know.
it once for a month or two. So,
Fun times.
oh, I just want to say something. There's this update on the Britney stuff. So, a lot of people are kind of talking about the Free Britney movement, like maybe they shouldn't have taken her out of the conservatorship So I just want to say one thing, right? It's not so much. No one was saying that she wasn't, may or may not have issues. You and I discussed that in previous episodes, right?
Right.
The fact that if she was really sick, why were they making her work against her will? If
Right.
she is incapacitated, to mentally, if I guess is what I'm trying to say, right? So I don't think people understand that she may well need to be in a conservatorship, but the one that she was on was literally like money laundering, illegal stuff. They were taking advantage of
Yeah.
her. There's a huge like there's stuff going on in the back end that no one is hearing about right now, but the people are being looked into for illegal stuff, right?
Right.
She, her, I think Kevin Fairline, her ex, is getting like $70,000 a month for
Jeez.
her two kids, right? The school is basically suing him, saying that he hasn't paid tuition. Where the fuck is the 60,000 a month
I
money
know.
going? That's the whole point, is that people were taking advantage of her, and this is what I'm trying to say. And so this conservatorship was not it. So all these things are still happening. They're not getting the media attention that it's supposed to, and I think people are forgetting she's a human, human person that
Yeah.
is probably still not free. You know what I mean? And no, what, and by free, by no means do I mean she doesn't need the help. She's just, it's almost like she's being handled, if that makes sense.
Right.
And I think that's the sad part. I don't think people understand that it wasn't so much that she needed to be off the conservatorship. She needed to be off of the conservatorship of the people who were using her and her money and exploiting her, you know?
Right.
So, anyways, I don't know where I just wanted to say that, but I had just noticed that he was being sued for not paying tuition when he's getting 70K, 60K a month for his kids.
That's so crazy.
And that just tells, and he's only a small portion. Imagine the dad and everybody else who
I
was just
know.
raking in the money, you know? And so, anyway. All right, Leone.
Hey, I do have a quick UFO update for you.
Yeah, go for it.
Or should I say UFO news? There's a lot going on in that space right now. If you have any interest in UFO and all these sightings that we're now seeing weekly, daily, maybe, you know,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot going on. There's been there's one person in particular, very very credible. He's a Stanford medical school professor. He's like next in line to win the Nobel Prize. This guy is very smart, very credible. His name is Dr. Gary Nolan. If you're interested, type his name, Dr. Gary Nolan, or just Gary Nolan on YouTube, and the word salt. So there
Mm-hmm.
was a conference called SALT that just happened like a couple of weeks ago. He was a guest on there, and he said some very fascinating things about what's going on up there, down here, what they are, perhaps, and who they are, and how long they've been here. A lot of interesting things. A lot of interesting things.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a couple CIA guys who are credible that are part of the same circle that are trying to give us disclosure, give us information.
Mm-hmm.
They've been saying, hey, this is no longer going to be years away. Like we're at a place where it's weeks and months away. So there's going to be a lot
Yeah.
of breaking news, and it's not going to come from the president. It's not going to come from the news. It's not going to come. It's going to come from people who are credible, who are now going to come forward because they signed a bill into law that says that they can't be fired.
Mm-hmm.
So if pilots saw something, airline pilots that fly from here to Hawaii, American Airlines and all that, a lot of them see things. And before
Mm-hmm.
it was like, oh, you can't say anything, and now it's like they're coming forward and testifying to
Yeah.
Congress, to NASA, So if you follow this, news because you are interested, like I am and Mary is, definitely, keep your eyes out because there's gonna be a lot of news coming out. And if you're on Twitter, just follow the hashtag UFO Twitter, and you'll see daily news on this, and it's crazy. It's crazy. There's some new photos and video that I'm like, oh my god, that's the clearest I've ever seen, or there was a huge sighting over the Marine base at 29 Palms here in California, in the desert, the Mojave Desert, 2 years ago, and those videos and photos just came out a couple days ago, and they've been interviewing Marines and talking and asking them like, hey, what did you see? What did you think you saw? And all of
Mm-hmm.
them, have been saying, nope, it's not lights. No, it's not flares. No, it's not training. Like, it was legit huge and legitimate, was just sitting there in the sky for 30 minutes,
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on. So if you're interested in that topic, keep your eyes out.
Yeah. How exciting. I find those things
Our world is
exciting.
about to change.
So hopefully for the better, but we'll see.
Yeah, we're gonna find out for once and for all if it's either Mary or myself, which one of us is a lizard person.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Right.
Well, thank you, Leone, for joining
Thank you,
me
Mary.
again.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, and I hope that you guys are ready for us to be back. So, because I think we just had to, well, I just had to figure it out.
Mary figured it out. And one last thing Mary's going to talk to you and tell you right now is how we can check out her Etsy store.
Oh my God. No, I'm not ready. Or
She's
okay.
not ready.
Well, it's called Happy Blossom Studio. So I only have 3 mugs up there, but I also want to do tote bags next, and so I'm kind of gonna sort that out now.
Nice.
But yeah, so I'm just glad I'm online, guys. Okay, so I'm not even gonna pitch go buy stuff or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, thank you, Leone, so much again. So
thank you.
guys, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye. That was episode 98 of the Purposely Curious podcast. Make sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on most podcast platforms. And follow us on social media at Purposely Curious on Instagram and at Purposely C Pod on Twitter. That's Purposely, the letter C, Pod. Until next time, you know what to do.